Hi, and welcome to the second S, set. This is part of the 5S cycle. So following on from our first S, sort, we are now left with a lot of stock and we're not sure what is what. Example, the mechanics now get a whole set of spanners, but now they're getting confused with the 16mm and the 15mm spanners, and the bolts that are 5mm with the 6mm bolts. This is where set plays its role. Ever since Adam and Eve, naming things have been important. So naming all your stock with a name or a number will help you keep track of what you're using or losing, and this will help predetermine what stock to order. Example of naming methods for the scenario would be screws, bolts and nuts at 5mm get green dots and 6mm ones get blue dots. An example would be storage containers and labeling with a marker or label markers, and other examples would include shadow boards, toolboxes and chests, or even the organization systems provided with the set of tools that you have just bought. This method is also seen in catering where they're labeling food due dates. In the next slide, I'll show you some illustrated examples. On the image to the left, we can see this is our numbering example. So we can see there's numbers and they each have been color coordinated as well with a label marker in the front. In the middle one, we can see is our naming convention, where we have work tools and it's got the name of the spanner, the pliers, the car pliers, and everything else. They've also kindly enough drawn out the shape of the tool as well that should be put back there. And shadow boards. Over here, they've marked out an area and stuck a label to what should go on side the shadow board. Remember, toolboxes and chests can also be used in the same way. So, what are the requirements of set? I like to remember it as a set of labels. Due to all these various name conventions, it makes it easier to find the actual item around the workshop, because everything now would have a name and a place. An example of this being 16mm spanner being the name and the toolbox being the label for the place. A simpler example would be mayonnaise in your fridge. To the right, we can see the image over there where I've made a little list and the criteria involved as well. So for set in order, I've got tools and equipment need to be set in order, materials and products, labeling, inventory control, dividing lines, and safety. All those factors need to be set in order. To the right, I have just described the criteria. Locations of tools are clear and well organized. Locations of materials are clear and well organized. Labels exist to indicate locations, containers, and boxes. Evidence of inventory control, this is first in, first out, minimum, maximum. Dividing lines and safety are all in clear, described, and in good condition. So this would be a good example of a set of labels. So what are set saving capabilities? Well, with the naming and storage conventions, if implemented, will make our work more efficient and with less mistakes. In the next slide, I'll show you what happens when it actually is implemented and the type of changes your business naturally will undergo. Usually when working with set, we'd have a floor plan. So to the left, we can see it's April, and to the right, we can see the floor plan for September. And you can see this has been done over a 6-month period. All the red shows projects, all the white shows areas that cannot be defined as it's constantly changing. Just be aware that this is a prototyping manufacturing business that I am describing over here. All the blue are indicating equipment, and all the grey are indicating fixed equipment, and all the yellow would be indicating free space. So now we have to review April to the improvements made through September. Just through setting, we can notice we created about 5 blocks of space free in our workspace marked as yellow. We can also see we've probably doubled our blue intake, which at the time was medical devices, and not only that, we've also managed to create 2 projects out of 1 project, and also separate 6 projects into 6 individual projects rather than 6 projects that had no names. We've also managed to set down fixed equipment inside our workshop as well, as represented by the grey. All of this is just through the culture of having a set mentality. Things now have a name and a place and have all been labeled. Stay set. I would like to give a everyday example of set actually does. A good example would be having sugar and salt inside your salt shaker, and this has no label, inside a jar inside your fridge. An engineering example of this would be having an unknown oil in a plastic bottle with no label in the toolbox. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But you might be happy that you found out that it was oil or sugar, till it happens again, for it has been set this way initially. But a good example would be having eggs in an egg carton. Inside the fridge, it has a location and a name. That's the same as labeling the oil in the can and then labeling a toolbox, so you know the oil has a label and it's got an area inside the toolbox. Now imagine inside a manufacturing company, or even better, homely example. Imagine all of this unlabeled places were all inside one big cupboard. It will take you forever to know what's inside there. A mechanical example of this would be M5 bolts, screws with M6 bolts, screws and nuts all together in one bucket. This would be really inefficient if you were trying to just find one nut or one bolt inside such a large bucket. So my suggestion is rather set 10 spaces if possible than 2 or 1. So what are set saving capabilities? Well, now that we know how to set things out, it can show us how if our stock levels are okay. It also saves us on over ordering. It also stops us cluttering space, and also stops foreign objects actually entering the workshop or inside our assembly process. This in turn also creating more space and a much safer working environment. So let's conclude set. The best way to conclude set is the name. First, make sure your item has an identity of what it is. And the second most important part of this is the place, the label, where it is or where it can be found. Just remember that even doing this at home can save you money. An example of this would be no more wearing odd pairs of socks or having to buy new ones due to this, because you know your black socks always go inside the bottom drawer and your color socks always go inside the middle drawer. I hope you enjoyed the slide on the second S when it comes to set, and stay tuned for the third S. Thank you.